Security camera caught the moment an Iranian missile struck near a residential building in the city of Beersheba in Israel. At least 5 people have been treated for minor injuries. No deaths have been reported from the blast you see here. I want to bring in Alex Shams. He's the editor-in-chief of Ajam Media Collective. And thank you so much for making time for us on 24/7 today. We just saw the video of the blast near a residential building. Can you tell us how Iranians are experiencing the conflict on the ground at this moment? And what does this war mean for those who have been protesting for democracy?
I think it's a really terrifying time to be in Tehran right now. Over the last week, I've been talking to people across the city. Most of my family is also there, and there have been bombs falling everywhere. Israel has kind of said that it is hitting nuclear targets, military sites, but what we've really seen on the ground is that residential neighborhoods are being hit. Civilians have been targeted. 3 different hospitals have been hit already so far. And you also have kind of the expansion of what is considered a military target. So housing for military personnel has been targeted. Not too far from where my grandmother's house is, a building with 60 people was brought down. Everyone inside was killed. And it appears that there might have been one military target inside, but essentially Israel is launching targeted strikes that are killing dozens and dozens of civilians around them. And so I think on the ground, people are very scared. They're really afraid. People have been fleeing Tehran. But Tehran is a city of 10 million people. It's very hard for that many people to leave at one time. There have also been gasoline shortages because Israel has hit fuel depots. And so gas pumps haven't had enough gasoline for people to leave. There have been really long lines. People have been killed trying to flee the city. And everyone, I think, who can has tried to get out so far already, but there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who can't get out, people who don't have cars, elderly people who are stuck behind. There are many people who are superintendents who are being killed in buildings that are being destroyed with their families who live on the first floor. It's really, really a terrifying situation right now. And it's really sad, I think, as an Iranian especially, who has been active in pro-democracy movements, to also see that so many Iranians who are taking part in protests for democracy right now are hiding for their lives. They're fleeing. They're afraid of the bombs falling on top of them.
Wow. First off, I understand your family is in the area, and so this obviously hits very, very close to home, and I am so sorry. Just from hearing you describing how terrifying this must be for a lot of people. What are Iranian people, your family included, what exactly are they hearing from their leaders about this conflict?
I think right now, honestly, there's a lot of shock and surprise, and it hasn't really worn off. I think the first few days, people almost really couldn't believe it was happening. This is kind of like all of our worst nightmare of what could happen, and it just started to unfold. And I think Iranian leadership was really, really taken aback. They did not expect this. I think it's really, really important to put this in context. Iran and the United States were in the middle of diplomatic negotiations. On Sunday, they were due to meet to hash out details of a nuclear deal. And then Israel launched a surprise attack on Iran, right? For the last 8 months, there has been no exchange of gunfire or missiles between Iran and Israel. Iranians really put their faith in the US, in diplomacy, and they thought that they could trust the United States to follow its word. And yet, what they realized last week was essentially that Trump gave an American ally permission to launch a surprise attack. He secretly sent 300 Hellfire missiles to make sure that Israel was well armed for the attack, on top of almost $20 billion in funding that has been given by both Democratic and Republican administrations to Israel over the last 2 years. And so I think there's a lot of shock in Iran. The leadership was not prepared for this. People were not prepared for this. In the last few days, we've seen Supreme Leader Khamenei transition power over to a military council, to a Revolutionary Guards Council. And so we're seeing the country militarize, really enter into a war footing, and also launching retaliatory strikes against Israel. But I think people are really shocked by the extent of the civilian casualties. They're shocked by the extent to which civilian infrastructure has been destroyed. And what we're seeing is basically the strategy that Israel implemented in Gaza, in Lebanon, in many other cities across the region, which international law experts on Gaza have called a genocide. In Lebanon, we've seen repeated war crimes. Essentially, the same strategy is being applied now to Iran. And similarly, there is no US attempt to stop what's happening. Instead, they're getting aid and support. And I think there's just a shock in Iran kind of seeing the bombs falling and realizing that no one is going to stop Israel from doing what it's doing. And there's kind of this sense that, I mean, even among people who really oppose the Iranian government, who for years have been saying, why are we even trying to build a nuclear program, a civilian nuclear program, if it causes as much tension with the world? Now these people are looking around and saying, maybe we need a nuclear bomb to defend ourselves, because if we can be attacked in broad daylight like this, if Israel can bomb journalists while working in Iran, they can bomb ambulances, they can destroy civilian infrastructure, they can kill civilians in their homes, then Iran needs to be ready to defend itself. And I think that's really sad for so many Iranians like myself who believed in diplomacy, who thought negotiations were important, who supported the Iran-US nuclear deal in 2015. This is a really shocking turn of events because Iran and the US had a deal, and the deal was working. Under the Obama administration, it was signed. In 2018, Trump quit the deal for no reason, and he said he could get a better deal. And so now, 10 years later, Israel and the United States have launched a war on Iran, essentially. And I think it's important to point out that maybe the US isn't directly involved, but everyone recognizes that it's with US permission that this is happening. It's with US bomb and it's with US aid. The US is already involved. And I think it's really important for Americans to stand up and say, we're against this war. We don't support what's happening. We believe in diplomacy. We believe in negotiations. Because right now, Iranians are saying, we can't trust Americans.
And Alex, just real quick, because we have a few minutes left, are you at all concerned, knowing all of this, are you concerned about your family members who are still out there right now?
I'm terrified. The internet keeps coming in and out. Just talking to my cousins, to my aunts, they're under the bombs. I can't get in communication with them. When I do, it's like it's really terrifying. It's really scary. Like I said, this is just my worst nightmare, especially because it's one of my countries bombing my other country, essentially.
Oh.
And a lot of my family has fled Tehran. It was very difficult. Other parts of my family have stayed. They're elderly people who can't get out. And it's just really scary to not be able to be in communication with them, and for everything to just change so quickly.
Alex Shams, thank you so much for your perspective. We appreciate it. We appreciate you joining us today, and our prayers to you and your family, and of course that this conflict is brought to an end soon. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.